Woohoo! Finally, well done to Taxon. So what Taxon did is he followed those hyena that we had earlier that were laying on the animal pathway. Probably drove about another 200 meters in, where the lions are now feasting upon a rather large kudu bull. You can see the horn there, just sticking up. Not that a big kudu bull is going to be much of a meal for the lions. I reckon they're almost finished it already. But very, very, very cool after working together. I love it when we do these sort of tracking exercises and we all come together. I was really hoping, though, that Tristan was going to get here in time to find these lions, because we knew they were in here. It was just a matter of actually going in on foot and having a little look around. But I bet you're all happy to know that the Nkuhumas will be here for another day. Because, I think they'll do the same thing like they did yesterday, is rest up for the rest of the afternoon and perhaps only get moving later on this evening. So that's nice. Hey, what an Easter miracle again. We have leopard and now we've got the lions, which is pretty cool. Very, very nice, especially after yesterday's drive. As always, quite cool having the lions again and then having a sneaky leopard slink around us. And also, I bet you're all happy to see Hosanna. It's very nice to see that he is alive and doing well, and he was able to outsmart Hukumuri. Yeah, go Lions, well done, kitty cats. Now, we're in a very thick area though, the grass is exceptionally tall. Every now and then you can hear a bit of growling. Oh, they stopped again. And I can't even tell you how much is actually left on that carcass. It is almost impossible to see. We might be able to reposition at some point or have a little look around once all the other on the property. Hello, little lions. Some of the sub-adults. I really would like to see how much is left. Oh no, don't go to sleep yet. At least go for a drink of water. Now, I don't know when these cats got on the move. It definitely looked like they were moving sort of in between the rain. It started raining at about 11:30 last night. Not a torrential downpour, but a bit harder than a drizzle, but it wasn't for very long. And their tracks definitely look like they had some of them look like they had raindrops on top of them. The ones on Shibamu actually look like they'd walked here after the rain. So quite cool. In fact, I don't know how long ago they would have killed this kudu, but it wouldn't have taken them very long to devour it. Remember, 11 lions, 5 of them which are fully grown, and 6 of them which are almost there, not too far off of the adults. They're all going to consume a huge quantity of meat, and their bellies weren't too full, so there was lots of room. We also know how big those stomachs can expand, though, and that's of course what they're designed to do. They gorge themselves, blow up like an absolute balloon. It definitely looks like whatever they caught yesterday was smaller than a kudu, because they are much fatter this morning. Now, it's very difficult to count the members of the Pride because they're not all sprawled out on the road like they were yesterday. So, Giraffe Girl, no, I can't, unfortunately, tell you how many members are here. I'm pretty sure they're all here. What you can't see to the right and to the left, you can see there's a few shrubs, and I can just see movement around that side every now and then. I think there's quite a few lions laying to the right of the ones we were looking at. And then we won't be able to see the other one. There is one that was sitting up on a termite mound too. So I'm almost certain that they are all here. And I'm quite curious to see where they're going to go and drink, because definitely one lion went to have a drink at a little pan off of Shibamu. There's a tiny little pan, and that's how we sort of figured out, they're around here somewhere. Otherwise, Treehouse Dam is not too far either. But whether they'll go have a drink now or have a snooze first, I don't know. A little bit of blood around the face, some of them. You can see like sort of a slight tinge of red. Oh, look at all those flies. Can you imagine sitting there? That would be terrible. I feel like I collected horns once on a safari, those waterbuck horns, and Robin, now you've asked me if I'm going to keep the kudu horns as well. No, only if they're exceptional, and I'm not going to keep them personally. They're just going to go to the tent because I think it's silly that we don't keep such a large set like that. They'll just get lost in the bush, and we can always throw them out. But I won't be taking them home or mounting them on my wall or anything like that. It was just purely a massive specimen. I don't know how big this kudu was. It's hard to see how many turns are in his horns. You can see a bit of that sort of ivory on the tip of the horn there, so it would have been a fully grown one. Yeah, so good meal for the lions. But again, not anything that they're going to be nibbling on this afternoon. I reckon once we do move around and reposition at some point, we're pretty limited to where we can go right now. So we just have to sort of stay put. And like I said, once the space opens up, we will definitely be moving on in to have a little look around and do a bit more investigating. Now there's the lioness, the oldest girl in the pride, with her injury on her sort of hip, and is healing very nicely. A couple of flies hanging around though, but she is keeping that nice and clean, which is good news. And she's starting to look good. A little bit thin though. You can see she hasn't quite developed a lot of muscle around her shoulders, around her back. But as you can imagine, you know what it's like. If any of you have gone for an operation and laid in bed, or, haven't been able to use your foot for a very long time, perhaps it was in a cast, the muscle deteriorates at a rapid rate. You lose a muscle quicker than you can gain it, which is always so frustrating, isn't it? So it is going to take her a little while to regain her strength. But she's looking better and better every single day. Now, D-Hugs, I think the line that you're wanting to try and have a look at is maybe that youngster that had the injury on its eye that we saw yesterday. We'll try our best, but I mean, as you can see, it's a flat carpet of cats, so if we aren't able to get them today, or this morning at least, we can always try again in the afternoon, because I'm pretty sure they will go and have a drink at some point. Let's just hope that it is going to be during safari time. But again, remember, these animals are so tough and so resilient, and I know it is very sad when one of them hurts themselves, but it's normal. It's like me. I'm completely accident prone. I've got hundreds of cuts and old scars on myself from falling and scraping my knees, but that's what the lions do. They fall down, they poke their eye out, or something happens, get an injury on your hip, perhaps from a buffalo or from another lion, and, well, you just keep on keeping on. You just keep going. You don't let it bring you down, right? Hosanna, however, has taken a break from all his excitement, and it seems as though he's counting some sheep.
And you can just see straight through there is a lion that is sitting and watching us as we're coming past, and so they're kind of just in there, and Tayla's sitting with them at the moment, and they kind of just enjoying a bit of full belly time. And so we thought we'd bypass them by going around this way, but they're a little bit further south than we initially thought. So that's, I think, the young male that's busy watching us over there, and from this distance we don't have to worry too much. It's a situation where they kind of are far enough away that we can be sort of moving around without too much of a stress. But it's amazing, they kind of pick us up. They must have heard us from a while ago, and then they've just kind of looked in this direction. But you can see that they're pretty chilled about it. It's not as though that male's getting up and skulking off and kind of moving away from us. He's just sitting there watching us, and we're just watching him. And it's kind of, at this distance with lions, it's actually not too bad. You don't have to worry as much. It's if you bump into them at close proximity that they become incredibly dangerous. But isn't that cool? Always nice when you get to see lions on foot. It's a bit of a thrill and a bit of a rush that you get when they're around. Hopefully we're going to keep moving on and carry on, but now I believe Tayla says that she thinks one lioness has moved off and gone to have a drink at Treehouse, and we were going to go past Treehouse to get back towards camp, so we'll just have to be careful of that and pay attention a little bit. So we're going to keep kind of moving on. I don't want to disturb the sighting. There are vehicles there, so we don't want to make an issue where the lions will scatter or anything like that, so we're going to try and just kind of go around and get out of the way of all the cars. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Tayla, who I think is following that lioness by the sound of things.
We aren't. We're actually still with the main pride. But remember I told you that there was one lion that was sitting on the termite mound? The lion's just getting a little bit nervous. Jackson's just trying to get out of the sighting, I think. So we'll just let him completely reposition. So there was one lion that was on the termite mound and actually went down, and David and I were wanting to follow her. However, we couldn't see where she went, and it was a nightmare to try and get in here. So we thought, okay, let's just stay put for now. I think, Tay, do you want me to go forward? Okay, Fanoti's helping Tax get out. Just trying to get the most easiest route. Obviously for us, it's very easy to navigate our way through sightings because it's just David and I that are ducking branches. But when you've got 10 people on your car, it's exceptionally difficult to try and navigate around. I think they might try and find another route. Tax, join me to go there and then you come out this way. Okay, we'll do that. So what we'll do is we'll take Taxon's place because this is quite a nice route to sort of... Look at this log, Darby. Wouldn't want to be smacked by that. So we'll go in here, and then Tax will be able to turn his long car and come out where we were. What am I even driving over? Ooh, hello. Okay, try to sneak on in here. Hello, lions. Oh, yeah. Goodness. Are you guys hungry? Is that fine, Darby? There we go. Now, very typical behavior, as most of you would have seen if you've got any pets. As soon as they've had a big meal, they normally go and have a little bit of a siesta afterwards. So yes, Yvette, especially for lions that completely gorge themselves, remember they don't rely on us feeding them. They're not getting a meal or 2 meals every single day. Sometimes they'll go for a couple of days without eating. And if you do gorge yourself completely, it's exhausting. Hey, Darby, how do you feel after you've been through a buffet? Hey, you get your money's worth. You have dessert 3 times. Ah, there's Tristan. I see him. I don't think we'll see him. That's where he is. I'm going to point at him. Can you see them going? I think, if you go a little bit to the left, I think you might have the bar, though. Yeah, no, you won't see them. No. Anyways, I see where Tristan is. So Tristan's just over there. Okay, so there's a lioness that's gone sort of towards the southern road. Very interesting. Yeah, so there we go, typical behavior. But remember, again, because they're not relying on us feeding them, these are wild lions. They have to hunt for themselves. And sure, you need to save energy as well. So after a big meal and they're exhausted, they've been chasing this kudu around. We don't know how long the chase was before they were able to catch it. They need to rest. They now need to top up those energy levels, and the only way to do that is, of course, to sleep. Oh. Chris, I agree with you. Cats do live the life we wish we could live, especially as, I suppose, a domestic cat, eh? The queen or king of the household. I shared something on Facebook the other day. I still want to be a caterpillar. Hey, David, did you see that one? Where you're a caterpillar and you eat and eat and eat all day long. You go to sleep and you wake up beautiful. That's my favorite. I would like to be a caterpillar rather than a lion. Just because of that. I mean, caterpillars double in size, probably every couple of days, shed a skin and then off they go. Amazing how they start off so tiny that you need to look at them under a microscope, and before you know it, they're the size of your index finger and getting ready to pupate. Lions, however, don't do that. They're just going to stay this way. So far I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lions here, and I'm pretty sure the others are nearby. I'm sure they're just here. So they're onto the scraps now. Onto the scraps. Gnawing away, trying to get the flesh between the bones or the ribs, and then I'm sure trying to crunch down into some of the smaller bones to get all the bone marrow. Yeah, there's nothing left. Now, a really cool sighting that I had, I think I'd only just started working here. It actually happened around Chelepan. David, I think you may have been on camera with me too. No, it wasn't. It was Eggsy. It was Zander that was on camera with me. I'll never forget that because he was so terrified that a lunar moth had landed in the car and he kept pointing at it and he said I had to take it out from under his feet. It was so funny. He was absolutely terrified. And then I couldn't reach it because we had the Nkuhumas around Chelepan, and it was sort of at the back here. So I gave him a stick. He then used the stick, and I think he threw it at me with the mouth. It was very funny. You may remember that sighting. Anyways, and that sighting just got better and better. Eventually, one of the Nkuhuma lionesses, if I'm not mistaken, it may have been the youngest girl too, she came on out and stalked a giraffe. So, Michael, yeah, I think as soon as these sub-adults are fully grown, they're going to have to start hunting bigger prey. I don't think it's even just going to be one buffalo. They're going to have to start taking down 2 buffalo. Otherwise, they're going to need to kill something every second day. So the next option, of course, well, is to hunt the tallest creature of them all. And that will keep them going for a few days. So here we go. Are our Nkuhumas going to turn into giraffe specialists? Well, I suppose we need giraffe on the property, hey? In order for them to catch them. They seem to be few and far between at the moment. But again, hunting giraffe is not for the weak. It's a very, very dangerous game. But we will talk more about the giraffe and lions potentially hunting them in this area. I'm going to send you on back across to Brent to see if Hassan looks like he's going to wake up. Now, we were talking, I don't know why I always start my sentences with now. I need to stop that. That's a terrible habit. David, I give you permission to pull my ponytail every time I start a sentence like that, or whack me with a buffalo thorn. That lion that we were zoomed in so close to is the young lion with the injury on its eye. But, of course, it's gone and plopped itself down that we now can't even see its head anymore. It's so close to the car. But it doesn't look like much has changed since yesterday. It still looks like it's weeping a little bit. And it's difficult to try and get a view, especially if it keeps its eye closed, to see if there is any discoloration in the eye itself. Anyways, but we'll just keep, of course, monitoring that and watching it. Like I said, we're not going to be able to intervene, so we'll just have to let nature take its course here. Hey, lions, that is finished. I cannot believe how quickly they ate that. That's amazing. A big kudu. They've literally eaten every single part of it, barring 1 or 2 of the legs that are still left. Not much meat on the legs, however. They've even eaten all the hide. They've just devoured the whole thing. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. See, they're trying to get some of the smaller bones to crush them open. But unfortunately, not as powerful of bite force as the hyenas. The hyenas will come in here. Oh, what happened? What gave you a fright? Gave him a fright. I don't know if one of the other lions maybe sneezed. And those hyenas that are hanging around, obviously hanging around for a reason. Yes, they've got the lovely elephant carcass to feed on. However, there's some fresh meat, some fresh bones. I'm going to love that. They've got a treat, so they'll come on in and swoop up and eat every last morsel. Just leaving the horns, really, and the head. The rest of it will probably disappear completely. Well, last night we went on a little bit of a bumble. Unfortunately, not everybody in camp always gets to go out on a safari. Obviously, the cameraman and the presenters are very lucky. Our office is out here in the bush. But it is nice to, of course, take the rest of the team that are also working really hard behind the scenes out. So we went on a bumble. We just had the Nkuhumas fast asleep. They moved maybe a whole of 100 meters from where we'd left them in the sunset safari. And flat. And then we went past Elephant Carcass, not much happening there. And then we also went to Treehouse Dam, where we had our best sighting. And that was of a couple of hyenas hanging around the dam. And one had a huge piece of that elephant carcass and was dragging it around. It must have been the hide, but it must have been a piece about, I don't know, maybe just shy of a meter. And we don't really know what was going on in that sighting. We was trying to figure it out. I think it was a low-ranking hyena that had obviously stolen that chunk of flesh, not even flesh, hide from the carcass, and then was running with it, and it was chased, or it was eating it at the dam, and then some other hyenas came around, because every time the hyenas on the outskirts would go anywhere near it, that hyena would literally swim into the dam. And I couldn't believe how deep Treehouse Dam actually was, because it couldn't touch the floor anymore. It's just pedaling, like it was trying to get away, growling and making all sorts of strange noises, which was quite cool to see. It was like the equivalent of dipping bread into a soup, except the bread, in this case, was a piece of elephant hide, and the soup was, I suppose, a green algae pea-coloured soup. Delicious. I'm sure that would have softened the hide too. Now, every now and then you can hear a little bit of crunching away. So, yes, Hunter, they will eat some of the bones. Not all of them, though, the smaller ones. And they're not necessarily going for the calcium. They're actually going for the bone marrow, so in what's inside the bones. Let's see what Amber, it looks like Amber eyes. The lioness is standing up now. Let's see what she's going to do. She's going to stick her head right in to try and find a scrap. She doesn't look like she's got a massive belly, hey? I mean, it's fat. I've seen lions with bellies double that size. Oh, here we go. And she's going to pull it. Where are you going to pull it, girl? And she's going to look at the strength in this cat. I think she's just trying to reposition it. I don't think she's necessarily going to drag it anywhere. She would drag it if there was a lot more flesh to obviously try and keep it out of sight from vultures. And, well, I suppose everybody knows she's here now. The hyenas know she's here. I think she's just trying to reposition it. Let's see. And there's a little bit of the hide left. This might cause a bit of a stir, especially amongst the youngsters. Is she going to go for another pull? No. Okay, well, she's settled down now. I think, just like I said, repositioning the carcass. I'm going to send you to Tristan, who has, in fact, arrived at Treehouse Dam. We are... two of the youngsters have just dived on and in. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm going to stop talking because we're going to do a little special here. Good morning and happy Easter to all of you out here. It seems as though we're very lucky this morning in South Africa as some Easter lions have decided to show themselves. My name is Tayla April and on camera with me is David. And like I said, we're sitting in South Africa in the Sabi Sand Game Reserve on this live safari with a pride of lions known as the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, if you would like to chat to us or ask any questions, all you have to do is comment away and I will receive those. And we're so lucky out here to be able to be so close to so many cats and, well, other wonderful animals that occur in the Sabi Sand Wildtuin, like that little lion who decided to move away from the lions who are finishing off a kudu kill and just sort of come and rest right near the car. Now, these are completely wild lions. Edu, great to have you on board my safari. You're very impressed by this. You're exclaiming, wow. It's great to hear that. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. And again, happy Easter. So this is just one of the many things that you can see in South Africa when you do come out on a safari, is that you get up close and personal with wild animals. And they're not tame in any way. They're just habituated to the vehicle, so they're used to us driving around, and they're quite happy, of course, to continue eating breakfast with us here. Now, those growls are not at us. That's because there's some of the younger sub-adult lions that attach themselves to, you can see there, the one on the right is holding onto that carcass for dear life, and there's a fully grown lioness on the left who's not having any of it. And she's trying to turn it around so that she can get the last of the scrap. She actually didn't look like she had much of that kudu at all. The youngsters, however, their bellies are absolutely swollen this morning. This is so amazing. We are so lucky. Mark, you're quite happy to, of course, see so many lions out here. There's actually 11 lions in this pride, 5 of them adult lionesses, and the rest of them the 6 others are sub-adults. They're almost 2 years old now. Pretty amazing. But you can see that kudu didn't go very far, I'm afraid. This is amazing. We've had them on the property for quite some time because these lions can move around. We're open to the Kruger National Park, the most famous game reserve in South Africa, and so these cats can move around, and the Sabi Sand is easily the best place to come and see leopards, to come and see lions, big herds of elephants and buffaloes, you name it. All the animals occur in this area. Richard, I agree with you. It is good to see lions in their natural habitat, and that's what you will get to see when you come on safari in this area. And I'm very lucky to do this every single day as my job. Now, if you would like to carry on watching Safari Live, because we'll probably stick with these lions for a bit longer, all you have to do is Google us. But for myself and David, we're going to stay put. We hope to all see you soon, and enjoy your Easter Sunday further. Hello, regular viewers. My favorite. How are you? You enjoying this still? Isn't this lovely? I'm glad that it's not a rotting carcass today. Nice and fresh. Hey, David? Yeah, we seem to be sitting in the right direction as well. We can't smell anything. In fact, I can't even smell the stinky lions. Normally they don't smell very nice. After the rain, Amber Eyes is getting a bit annoyed with those youngsters now. All slinking around trying to find a spot. Oh, they're all so cheeky, hey? And just sit on top of the carcass then to get a spot. I think that little one's actually got an upper hand there. I'm pretty sure there's some flesh deeper on in and just underneath the spine and in between the ribs. It's a difficult area to sort of get into. And this there is actually a lot of flesh still left on that carcass. Lions have just got really big mouths, big jaws, and are unable to get all those little pieces in between. But a jackal, all the vultures, they'll fill their bellies and their crops fairly easy. Right, we will sit here for a little bit longer, and then I think we'll head on off. So off you go back to Brent.